Good morning, everybody. Pardon my appearance. Of course, I'm extraordinarily handsome. Uh, I'm very dark, and I am a member and leader of the talent conglomerate known as the Almighty APB. As I told you, over the next few days, weeks, however it is, I try to bring you a story every day of like some of my active adventures, and then I'll delve into storytelling and stuff like that. Um, like I said, I got inspired by my favorite comedian, Kevin Hart, who's been telling tales on his Instagram, so check that out. So, today, I'm going to tell you about how I got let go from APB. A few years ago, there was a show called APB. The premise was the show, I believe it was on Fox. The premise of the show was there was a drone, or there was drones, or there was a computer that could predict crimes before they happen. And so, I had a call. Hold on. Bear with me. Okay. So the premise of the show was this computer would predict crimes. And I was a detective on the pilot. I always, somehow or another, recently I played villains, but first starting out, I'm a detective, I'm an FBI agent, something in law enforcement, the build and the look and all that stuff. Anyway, so we're going through the first month of filming the pilot, and we're in the trenches. And anybody who's ever worked APB, they'll tell you it was day after day. It was work all the time. And one of the beautiful things about background work is, you get to be on TV, you get to hobnob with quote unquote celebrities, stars, these well-known actors, and it's a constant gig. And you might see yourself on TV, not even speaking or anything like that, but just to see yourself on TV is a thing. So we're going through and we're working days, mornings, and they were lengthy days. These weren't short days either. These weren't like a couple of hours. These were at least 10, 12 hours. So we're going through, and we finished the pilot. And once we finish the pilot, the season gets ready to start filming. Now, with background, there's optimum ways of doing this. Now, this is a quick breakdown. Background, you can work, it's not consecutive on a particular show. Like most of y'all, you go to a job or whatever, you're working the same job every day. Unless you're an independent contractor or whatever, you move around, you're working the same job every day. Same location, same time, same desk, everything. With background, it's not the same. Well, as an actor, sometimes it's not the same. But as background, it's not the same. One day you could be on Chicago Fire. Another day you could be on Med. Another day you could be on APB. Another day you could be on Empire, such and such. Unless you are a stand-in, like I was talking about the other day, well, that means you stand in for one of the cast members, one of the regulars on the show. So you're there all the time when that character is there. Or you are core. Core, a couple of my ACPAC family, they are core on respective shows. And what that means is there is a select assigned group of individuals to work this particular section of the show. Like right off the bat, my buddy Herbert, Mia, Curly, Chrissy Dior, they're all core on Med. And Wendy was core on PD, but she's a stand-in now. Was during the season. So core just means you're there most of the time. That's your show. So out of 5 days or 6 days sometimes that you'll work, a lot of shows don't work on Saturdays, but if they do, you're there those days that you're called for. So I was fortunate enough to be named core detective on APB. And it was every day. As a detective, you were there every day, basically. And there's nothing better than that, because that means you don't have to submit. Another thing about background, you have to submit. You have to submit to the show. So a listing comes out, let's say, from Fire, and they're looking for African-American males and females, 25 to 50 or something like that. You got to send in your picture or whatever. So you're already on the roster, so you send it in. You send it in, and you may get a call or email to say, hey, you're booked, blah, 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 so on and so forth. With being core on a show, you don't have to do that. And speaking of which, my brother, Wade Frazier, that's where I met him at. My day one, I met him at on APB, and we've been guys ever since. What's up, bro? Good to see you. And he knows this story. So I'm named core detective. I show up my first day as core detective. I'm dressed, sport coat, and everything, y'all know. And I'm excited. Call time was early as shit. It was like 5:30. And that happens sometimes. And we're in center space. I see some people I know and we're kicking it. So anyway, they bringing out breakfast. This brother's in charge of Crafty. Crafty is the food on set. And so he's bringing out food. And so he's got coffee and he's got potato chips. So I say, hey, brother, where the donuts at? I said, where the donuts at? He said, don't worry, my brother, I'm bringing donuts soon. I said, man, because you can't be a detective on a cop show if there's not coffee and donuts. We all laugh. Everybody's laughing like, yeah, because that's the true stereotype. Cops eat coffee and donuts. Excuse me. So we're laughing, and these two cops, I think he might have been retired, I'm not sure. This white dude, he says, hey man, I was offended by that. And I'm thinking he's joking. I'm like, really? I'm chuckling. He says, yeah, man, I don't think that was right of you to say. I realized he's serious. So I say, listen, man, it was just a joke. Wasn't no malice intended to it. We all know cops have coffee and donuts or whatever. He said, yeah, but you shouldn't say nothing like that. So the other guy says, yeah. I was a little offended too. I was like, well, listen, gentlemen, if what I said offended you, let me apologize for that because that wasn't intent. And we're just here having fun, cracking jokes. And so I'm thinking it's done. He says, well, some jokes aren't funny. I said, you know what? I get it. Let me move because everybody knows me and knows I have a great sense of humor and I'm cracking jokes all the time. Let me move because I don't want to offend you again. So then the guy says, well, you don't have to have an attitude about it. Now he's got my attention. I'm like, dude, I don't care how you feel. I'm going to crack jokes. Now, just because I already apologized, that should be done. We don't have anything else to say to each other. Have a good rest of your day. So I move on down. Next thing you know, maybe about 10 minutes later, PA comes out. White. Comes out, a little bony ass dude. Ichabod Crane looking. That was a whatchamacallit reference. Headless Horseman reference. He says, can I speak to you a moment? I said, sure. He says, we got a report that you've been harassing people. I said, excuse me? So we got a report that you've been harassing people. And I'm like, well, okay, supposedly what did I do? And so he says, well, is it true you said something about cops and donuts? I said, yeah. I said, I told the guy who was doing Crafty, hey, man, you can't be on a cop show without donuts and coffee. Harmless, I believe. Didn't say anything else after that. And I said, I told the gentleman, hey, I apologize if I offended you. He said, you said you're sorry? I said, no. I said, I apologize. There's a difference between being apologetic and saying you're sorry. It's a huge difference in the semantics. So I say, no. He says, well, we'll keep talking about this because people need to be respected. So I say, does that include black people? And his face turned beet red. He said, what? I said, does that include black people? He says, what does that have to do with anything? I said, well, the two individuals who told you this are white. You're white. I'm black. So does that include me too? Do I deserve to be respected? He doesn't say anything. There's nothing for him to say. Goes away, comes back. He says, well, are you going to go apologize? I said, listen, man, I already told you. I apologized to the gentleman and said, hey, listen, if my joke offended you, I apologize. I meant no harm by that. He said, so you're not going to say you're sorry? I said, no. He comes back again and said, okay, well, we'll talk about this more. I said, I really don't see anything else for us to talk about. I'll let you know what happened. It's clear that you can check with everybody. They'll tell you what happened. So I go out the set. I'm chill. And I walk, they go off background, and I walk back and forth a couple of times. Same PA, white PA. He comes and says, hey, well, we're wrapping you for the day. Now, mind you, I've been here maybe 2 hours. He says, I'm wrapping you for the day. I say, okay, you're signing my sheet, right? Because I wanted to make sure I was getting paid. He says, yeah. I said, okay, would you sign, excuse me. I said, would you sign my sheet right now? Because I wanted to make sure. Sign my sheet. All right, let's go. And he went to put his hand on me. He went to reach and almost escort me out. And I told him, pardon my language, I said, don't put your fucking hands on me. And he shook. He says, what did you say? I said, I'm wrapped, right? He says, yeah. I said, you signed me out? He says, yeah. I said, I'm no longer an employee at this moment. So if you put your hands on me, that is a form of an assault, and I can assault you back. So don't put your fucking hands on me. And he looked and I looked. We walked out to the van. I said, this the van? Have a good day. I got on the van. I tried to call Jess and somebody from 4-Star. They didn't pick up because this was the day the former mayor Rahm was on the scene, so they were there and what have you. I sent an email, copy myself, of course. I sent it to somebody else, let them detail everything that happened. Next day I get a response. I said, they understand what happened, what have you, but they had to pull me off the show. And I was like, okay. And but you still work with 4-Star. We understand that didn't happen and what have you. So it doesn't end there. These stories never end when you think they're supposed to end. So stay with me. So I wound up, and I believe in God. And I'm not trying to put religion on anybody, but I believe in God. I believe God works things out. Especially in the times when it doesn't seem like it's going to work. Like right now you think it's going to work. We're going to look back on this time like, man, remember when we was in the house and so on and so forth. So I believe in God, and I believe he always works. So that said, I'm perturbed because I was core. I was going to be making this money. I get a call. I go work PD. That was a Wednesday. I go work PD. The day I was supposed to work APB, I go work PD Thursday. And then I get booked for Chicago Justice. And at first I was supposed to be a reporter. And then they switched me. And they said you were going to be the core bailiff. And you've seen me a few times. If you watch Chicago Justice, I was there all the time, most of the time, to the end. And that was really cool. So it all worked out. So, okay, going forward, we're on the set of Chicago Justice. And I want to make sure I'm telling this in the right order. Oh, I'm on Chicago Justice. And this guy comes on. This white dude. Why is it always a white dude? Okay, never mind. He starts telling the story. He said, man, you heard about the guy that lost it on APB? And we're all like, whoa, what happened? Because APB is still filming there. He says, yeah, this guy's name is James, this big black bald guy. And I'm sitting here like, and people who know me are here. We're sitting here. People, once you do background enough, people know you. You know each other or what have you. You're either cool with people, you're not, whatever. But people know you. They know your name. They know your face, especially if you worked enough or whatever. And we're all looking at each other. And they're like, hey, I said, shh, don't say anything. And so he starts telling the story about APB, but he adds his own stuff. He says this guy James was cursing and he was throwing stuff. He was throwing a tantrum because he didn't get donuts. And it took like 8 to 10 people to hold him, and they had to escort him off. And he can't work anymore. He can't do any more background. And he's telling his story, and he's so animated, and he's so into it. I'm just like, wow. So the guy James has never worked again? He says, no, he doesn't. He doesn't work. They won't let him work anywhere. He's done. So I say, yeah, that's not true. And he says, what? He says, how the hell would you know? Huh? How do you know? Were you there? I said, yeah, I actually was. He says, well, what happened to him? I said, well, I never threw anything. I wasn't cursing and everything. I left the scene pretty quiet, actually. None of that's the way it happened. He's stuck. He is stuck. He says, well, what? I said, hi, I'm James. Nice to meet you. This dude says nothing the rest of the day. He says absolutely nothing. Now, as you know, I'm part of a crew called Act Pack now, and that wasn't the case, but I'm still cool with a number of people, and they gave him the business all day. Like, it was relentless all day that he was telling this story about me and it wasn't true. Story doesn't end there. So I go and I work PD. I work PD as this particular time. It was a 2-day, and it was cold. Wade, I think you worked this too. We were out south. I forget the name of the burb, something Heights, not Chicago Heights, but not that far. Um, and we're working as park forest rangers on this. It's cold as shit outside. And the white dude, it's always a white dude. Always a white dude. A white dude who was the PA on APB is the PA on PD that day. I don't know if he remembers me, but I remember him. And he says, hey, I need you to go this way. I said, okay. And he puts his hand on me. Perfectly innocent, harmless. He puts his hand on me to direct me, but it's him. So he's on this side of me, as you can see. He's on my right side. And so I lean forward like I'm tripping and elbow backwards. I said, oh my God, he's a small Ichabod Crane. If you ever seen the story of Sleepy Hollow, and Ichabod Crane with his bony dude, that's what dude was like. I elbowed the shit out of him. Now, this is where your judgment comes in probably, and I don't care. But he was pivotal in not interpreting the story to the higher-ups the way it should have been. I elbowed. I said, oh my God, you okay? He says, yeah. I said, oh, all right, cool. And I went on about my way. Story doesn't end there. Now it does. Wade and I wound up working this pilot called University. It didn't go anywhere beyond that. It had a cool premise. It was a college football team, and the star quarterback would be accused of rape, and I was one of the football coaches. So we're at Soldier Field, and it was glorious because I'm a Bears fan. We're at Soldier Field, and I see the cop, or what I believe is the cop, and I ask him his name, and I troll him. I said his name is Brad, and I said, oh, he says his name is Bradley, and I said, oh, Big Bad Brad, and he said, no, it's just Bradley, Brad. I said, oh, well, good to meet you, Big Bad Brad. It's a pleasure. He says, I said, you worked before, haven't you? He said, did you work APB? I said, I sure did. It's nice to see you again. I'm a little bit farther along in my career and my networking than I was then. So I'm somewhat in with people who can make some sort of difference, and who I'm insulated a bit. So of course it doubles back. And so this time I go first, and I tell Francine, who was working with 4-Star then, and like checking in people and stuff, let her know. And she said, okay, and she let somebody else know. Right, you sure was, Wade, because dude came and hollered at you. And let somebody else know. And I was on another show, went back to PD, and I guess dude worked there or something, and he tried to say something, and they talked back and forth and said, no, I wasn't causing an issue or whatever, and it was done. And somehow or another, I was vindicated for that. It didn't take back the time or the money I missed on APB, but to know that I know I wasn't at fault felt pretty darn good. This just goes to show you that sometimes you can be completely in the right. People can see it, and the outcome initially doesn't go your way. You can have witnesses that will say, hey, that didn't happen. He didn't. And they'll tell you to this day, I left quiet. You didn't even know I was gone until you knew I was gone. My presence is kind of big, so you'll miss it. That's not a brag. It's just the truth. You'll miss it. And somebody will ask, well, what happened? What happened? And I was able to say, hey, this is what happened. And people will tell you that's what happened. So I told you when I started these tales, everything isn't all flowers and roses. Sometimes shit didn't go the way it was supposed to go. Sometimes it didn't go the way it was supposed to go, or way, as favorably as I like. But that's life. And you just kind of rock. And you just kind of rock with that. All right. Thank y'all again for tuning in. Be safe. Practice your social distancing. Wash your hands. Wash your ass. Wash everything. Be safe. Enjoy life, all right? Remember, act pack or nothing. Peace.